Wanna live good, you gotta work for it. Everything I gotta have to work for it. Wanna live good, you gotta work for it. Work for it, work for it.
Hey, I'm Creed with Defiant Fit. So I just wrapped up a series of incline dumbbell bench and just wanted to go through a few things here. You're going to see the whole series of reps and sets, and I'll give you comments as we go through that, but I like to do a little wrap up right as I get done. When I do the inclines, it's not the big 45-degree incline. It's probably somewhere between 20 and 25% incline. Once you get up here, you're really starting to get a lot of shoulder into it, and I want the chest into it. So that's the first thing I do. Some of the really unique things that I do, and they're all designed to protect your joints. Everything I'm doing nowadays is to protect your joints. And some of it's a little bit unusual. Some of it I've never seen anybody do or read about or anything, so I just want to give you some points on that. Since my home dumbbells have an outrageously large plate on them, now slightly bigger than that, this is the handle unit. Looks like a Star Wars fighter. Anyway, sorry. I just wanted to take all the weights off and show you a little bit about how I hold my hand. Now I do this specific hand hold on a lot of exercises, and pretty much, you know, anything I do with chest, whether it's flies or a dumbbell bench, and certainly on the shoulder presses, I do this now. I don't grip it square. When you grip something square, your body really doesn't really like that as much. It's hard to describe, and I'm just asking you to try it. When I do it, what it is the bar is literally riding right about there. All the weight, or as much of it as I can, goes right across this part of the palm at an angle. So it kind of follows what I think they call the lifeline. Lifeline? That sounds weird, but I'm not too much on that sort of stuff. So it sits in there like that. And that's whether I'm doing flies, or whether I'm doing a chest press, or whether I'm doing a overhead military style press. The other thing I do that's really pretty unique is when I grab these, so this would be here and you'd be bringing them up to do your bench. I usually put my hand pretty far over toward one end versus the other. The reason I do that is as I'm lifting, it allows that outer tail of the dumbbell to drop substantially lower than this. So I'm not trying to do this. I'm okay with it riding in here. I keep my hand pretty open and relaxed, and you can certainly do that the entire time you're doing certain exercises. If you're bringing something over your face, definitely grab it before you get over your face area. But when I'm doing my bench, so I'm at an incline, I've got this unique hold that I just talked about, and I let the tail end drop. So, right, you have to envision me at an incline. When I'm up here, I'm probably close to a 45-degree angle, okay? I'm not trying to get here. I like it here. It lets the chest do a lot more work, and it keeps the shoulders out of it a lot when I'm at the top. And I'm not trying to get a 100% extension. I'm pretty happy with a 90% extension. If you think about it, squeeze the chest and try to hold it, and then when you straighten your arms, everything moves to your shoulders. When I'm coming down, and with that unique grip, okay, I let my hands essentially get to about a parallel position. See, I'm trying to line this up so it looks right. So it's pretty darn up and down. It's okay to have a little bit of an angle down there too, but it's okay to have that paralleled hands thing at the bottom. It's going to let you get a bigger stretch. And so here's the deal. When you do a standard bench, how far can you come? boy, it starts binding up pretty good right there. When you're here, oh my gosh, I can go quite a bit lower. And trust me, I've destroyed my shoulders lots of times. And doing this motion, so incline bench, rotate, slowly squeeze, and every exercise, focus on the muscle group you're working. You're not lifting a weight, you're squeezing that weight up with your chest, or you're squeezing with the bicep, or you're squeezing with the shoulders, whatever it might be, focus on that, okay? So I'm down here, and as I start squeezing up, I just let my hands slowly, gently rotate, and then I come back down. And I am following a 2 to 3 second motion, each direction, up and down, purposely squeezing the specific muscles that we should be focusing on, in this case, the chest. And at the bottom, I try to give it a half-second pause. What's going on down that half-second area? You're finding a spot where the chest is really loaded and there's very little tension on your shoulders. From there, you start squeezing the chest and you try to keep that feeling all the way up. That's a whole lot different than doing something like this. And I'm finding that it really focuses on the muscle group you're trying to work. You can really devastate the muscle group with that slow motion. And it's so much better on my joints, because the joints, what happens is when you let's say you straighten your arms, you deload the chest, then as you start coming down, all kinds of joints, whether it be the shoulder or the elbows or the wrists, all have to do this engagement process. If you never deload the body part that you're working, the joints get out of the way naturally. Yes, they're there running and functioning, but the force isn't running through them. The force is running through your muscle group that you're working. Now, to do this workout, and I take each set to failure, which means I can no longer do a clean rep with that very concise, very purposeful, very controlled motion. So once, everything's pretty much given out, I'm done. But I take each set to exhaustion, and that really punishes the muscles and creates what they call metabolic stress, which is a good thing. And then you take a few minute break and you do it again. And additionally, what I do is a high-low type series. I'll start off with a lower weight, low being something I can do maybe 12 to 15 times. Once I get exhausted, maybe only 10. And then a heavy set next time, which might be 6, 8, 10 reps. 10 maybe the first time, maybe only 6 or 7 the second set. And I alternate between those. And what I'm finding is it's keeping me from tearing myself up even further. One, it's constantly a change, so you have to really focus. And two, in the old days when I was in my 20s and 30s, that was a long time ago, we would start heavy and work our way heavier and then go heavy and then get up there where you can't even do that 1 rep max without, 6 guys helping pick up the bar. And you want to destroy your joints. That's how you do it. So everything I do nowadays is to protect your joints. I study a lot of stuff. I look at a lot of videos on the internet. I read a whole bunch of medical reports, these PhD studies, and it's terrible to read those things. But I do it, and then I test various things on me, and then I give you the best of what I discover some months later. And that's where we're at. Now we're going to talk about actually exercising. So in this first section, let's talk about form, motion, and focusing on the muscle group we're working. So I do this incline bench, dumbbell bench, after doing my flies. And I just find that the chest is really fried out by this point. And so I don't get to use as much weight as I used to, but I think it's really excellent. The flies do an excellent job of working the chest, I think better than the pressing. Other than that, my hand hold is that same neutral feel that I use, that nice natural and neutral feel. My hands are pretty open. By not death gripping it, I have to squeeze all through the chest. You'll see my hands are up close to that one end of the bar, and then the opposite end closest to my waist is actually dropping down. I'm rotating about 45 degrees at the top, doing about a 90% extension. That way I keep the chest engaged. And then as I come down, you'll see that I rotate slightly the opposite direction. And this will give you a good view of that. And it's somewhere close to parallel. It's not quite the big rotation that I do on the flies, because it actually, if you rotate too far towards you, you start to load the shoulders. And so this is a nice neutral feel. And with that hand in a relaxed position, it forces me to push everything up through the chest. And here you can see a good idea of where that drops down into kind of a parallel position, the bars. And those hands are completely or mostly open. They're very relaxed. And that is what makes you squeeze this through the chest. Down at the bottom, I'm doing a half-second pause. And what I'm doing is I'm feeling for a maximum tension in the chest, the minimum in the shoulders, and then trying to squeeze up, keeping that feeling. So now let's talk a little bit about the cadence, and let's talk about that squeeze. So half-second, squeeze through that muscle group. So down at the bottom, you're getting that maximum feel in the chest, minimum in the shoulders, and you try to keep that feeling as you squeeze it all the way up. Still doing those big rotations that I do, coming down to about a parallel. Still got that tail end of that dumbbell dropping down. And I just find that, I have torn up my shoulders a lot, particularly on barbell bench press and barbell military press. This is just, quite honestly, delightful to the shoulders after so many decades of tearing into them. The cadence, again, I am going with typically a 2 to 3 second motion in both directions. And for me, I think the longer, the better. Now let's talk about failure. I'm the poster child for that. Failure is when you can no longer squeeze this up with good form. Now you're going to shake a little bit and you're going to tremble a little bit, but you're not jerking, you're not twisting, you're not doing quick thrusting motions. All of that kind of stuff goes right into the joints. As long as you can keep squeezing up at this kind of a pace, you haven't quite reached failure, but you'll feel it. You'll hit it and you'll go, man, there's just no way I'm going to get another good rep unless I jerk or cheat. And it's that fast motion, that quick jerking motion that racks up the joints. Recovery time, typically on a big compound exercise like this, I am now giving myself 3 minutes between sets on this. The studies, the medical studies, the PhD studies say good idea. And I'll be honest with you, if you're taking it to true failure, you need those 3 minutes.
Work for it. Everything I got, I had to work for it. Yeah. Living good, a hell of a night. But I had to work for it.